Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Just let me fix the audio. Alright, so welcome back to the channel. We're gonna have the Game Week 7 deadline stream, right? So loads of flags this week. A lot of people got injured. A lot of people that we are waiting on for news from for the press conferences, and to be honest, we didn't really get much conclusive news. Whether it's on Saka or whether it's on the Newcastle players, there's no real conclusive news. So a lot of it is gonna be based on how we interpret the press conference, and also basically depending on your team whether you have to make certain moves or not, right? So for my team, I have Botman and I have Saka. So as I mentioned in the team selection video, I feel like Botman is probably going to start. In which case, I'll probably just be left with Saka to deal with, right? So when that happens, I probably have to decide on stream, whether to sell Saka or to hold him, right? So this is currently the predicament that we have. I'm leaning towards keeping him for the moment, right? I'll show you guys some footage that we have on Twitter, of Saka coming off the team bus at Bournemouth, and basically he's at the Bournemouth stadium, but we don't know whether he will start or not, right? So we'll get into it in a bit. Let's say hi to some of you guys in the chat. Emmanuel says I'm waiting, thanks for coming early. FPL Golf. Toby is a member as well. Loads of members in the chat. Good afternoon, Toby. Afternoon, GV. FPL Diamond as well. Patrick says hi. Did Chilwell out for Kabori to get funds to get Salah in Game Week 10. Next week it's Saka out for Son, captaining against Luton, thinking of doing a -4 to swap out Sterling to Bowen this week. I don't think that's necessary because it seems as if you're not going to wildcard anytime soon, or at least you will be stuck with Bowen. So Bowen doesn't have that good fixtures in Game Week 9 and 10. I probably would keep Sterling this week if it's for a -4 that you're doing. Patrick. Right. FPL Diamond says, like, share, subscribe, support us on the way to 6,000 subscribers. Thank you very much for the support. Sashin became a member as well, tier 1 member, so thank you very much. Manav says, Sufal or Cash? I prefer Cash for sure for the attacking threat. I think he's better in terms of attacking threat. FPL Diamond says, think he will be benched. Only come on if they're chasing. I mean, that's the worry. With Saka right now. I'm just not sure whether he's gonna start or if he comes on for a cameo. If let's say they're chasing the game, in which case it's gonna be a 1-pointer, and that's not good at all, right? Abdul says hello from Egypt. Thank you for tuning in. Stuart says, can I ask a simple question? Play Gordon or Diaby this week? This week I would prefer Gordon for the Burnley game. Sell Saka to Son, that's the big question, right? FPL Camp says Morris or Son in. I'm probably not going to go for Morris. Alright, there's a couple of permutations that I thought about today. Earlier today before the stream, which is the possibility of a Game Week 8 wildcard. So if I'm wildcarding in Game Week 8, I technically can dead end the team now. In which case, removing Saka for maybe Son, doing Asula to Morris potentially, or even Saka to Bowen, which is a 1-week punt, if I was wildcarding in Game Week 8, are moves that I would consider, and I actually did consider, because I'm actually pretty uncertain now when I'm going to use the wildcard, because it feels like every week there are going to be compromises that I'm making. If I wildcard now in Game Week 7, I won't have any Manchester United players to take me through Game Week 9, Game Week 10. That's pretty much when you want menu players, because they have Sheffield. They have pretty good fixtures either side of the Manchester City fixture. So they have Sheffield in Game Week 9, Manchester City in Game Week 10, and then they have Fulham and Luton after. So the issue with a Game Week 7 wildcard is you're just going to avoid Manchester United assets altogether. So that's kind of why I don't really like to wildcard this game week. I feel that would be the struggle for those on a wildcard this week to get Manchester United players for those game weeks when they have good fixtures. But then again, in game week 8, I wouldn't have. I would have two Spurs. I made a couple of drafts. Game week 8, I would have Spurs assets, etc. But the game week 8 wildcard draft looks quite bad for game week 9, right? Because the players that you want to target for game week 8, you need to look pretty long term. And when I go over to game week 9, looking at the wildcard draft for game week 8, it kind of struggles a little bit with game week 9 as well. It doesn't really target the good fixtures in game week 9 as well. And then further forward, of course, it looks fine. So for my team at the moment, if I don't do a 1 week punt, let's say I don't do Saka to Bowen or I don't do Osula to Morris, I'm opening myself up to having this team from now, game week 7 till 8, all the way until game week 10 and then wildcard, which I think does not look that bad at all. So I'll show you guys a couple of transfer plans as to why I've decided I think I won't wildcard in game week 7 and probably not in game week 8 as well. Right? Because if I do, let's say Saka to Son, that's not with the intention to wildcard in game week 8 at all. Right? That would actually be with the intention to wildcard in game week 10. Right, so let's get to some of your questions before before we get to the questions. I do want to know what you guys are doing with Saka. So I'm going to put a poll in the chat. What are you doing with Saka? Keep or sell? Right, let me know what you guys are doing with Saka, because it's a pretty difficult position to be in. Alright, let's get to some of your questions. Thank you guys for tuning in. There's quite a number of you guys in the chat already, so thank you for tuning in. We're pretty early today. If you guys are here, please do drop a like on the stream. Right, let's get to the questions. Already made all my transfers. Shall I bench Saka and Gabriel or start them both? I think Gabriel is fine to start. Saka is a little bit tricky because we don't know whether he's gonna start or not. In which case, if he comes on for a cameo, then that's not great. Udogi or Poro? Udogi for me, for just to save a little bit more money there. Saka to Son, Augusto to Kabore. I think Saka to Son. Right, that's the thing, we don't really know with Saka, but Saka to Son feels like the move that will give you a greater upside than Gusto to Kabore. Because to be honest, I have Kabore, but I'm honestly not expecting too much from him. Against Everton, I doubt they keep a clean sheet. Maybe they pick up something against Burnley. With the amount of people wildcarding, a -4 can be devastating. I'm keeping Saka. Right, so a lot of people I've seen a lot of people on Twitter especially wildcarding at the last minute. So a couple of flags that have caused us to kind of go early with the wildcard. So I'm not but I'll flash a game week 7 wildcard draft on the screen later. I'm not opposed to it at all, and I completely understand there are some teams that definitely need it. So if you do need to activate your wildcard, go ahead and do that if that works for your team. But what I will say is that there are a couple of flags that you take with a pinch of salt, right? So if you are forced into a wildcard, assess your flags and see whether they are legitimate or not. Because honestly speaking, I feel like the comments from Postecoglou about the Spurs players, namely Son and Maddison, I feel like they're fine to start. I mean, that's just how I interpret the press conferences. Botman as well. I mean, the Newcastle United back four, I feel like they're all going to start as well. Right, that's at least how I interpret the press conferences. Saka is just different because there's literally no conclusive statement around him. It's just about whether And he hasn't trained in the training pictures for Friday. We didn't really get pictures of Saka in training, so that doesn't give us much confidence as well. And yeah, I mean, I'll show you guys the clip of Saka coming off the team bus. But honestly speaking, there's so many ways we can interpret this. Right, so basically, there's FPL Tommy Gunn, right, on Twitter, took the troubles to go over to the hotel that the Arsenal players are staying in, right, in Bournemouth. And when the team bus arrived, obviously some other players came down as well, but Saka was spotted here. And since then, I mean, this tweet has gotten 2 million views because everyone is just wondering whether Saka is going to start. But I mean, the way I see it is whether he comes to the Bournemouth stadium, or whether he arrives with the team. I don't think it's conclusive enough to say whether he starts. I know some people take it as if him reaching Bournemouth together with the team is indicative that he's going to start. But the way I see it is there's a couple of tough games moving forward, right? They have Man City next game week as well. They're in the Champions League also. And they need to get performances basically. So against those tough oppositions, they're definitely going to need Saka. Against Bournemouth, could you take a chance and maybe rest him? I think maybe. So that's one way. I see this. Another way is about how Arteta is just not very reliable in the things that he says. Right, Arteta is someone that generally does not tell the whole truth in press conferences, and we've been bitten by it before, right? So it's perfectly viable, it's perfectly possible for Saka to end up in the starting 11, right? It's just perfectly possible. So there's so many ways we can interpret it, but the way I see it for now is inconclusive. So I'm currently undecided, right? Would you let me know whether you guys would do the Saka to Son move, or Saka to will you sell Saka basically in general? Marco says Saka has a good chance of playing. It's either game week 10 or game week 18 for me. We must be patient. So this is regarding the wildcard FPL Diamond. Yeah, in general, I would say that either wildcard in game week 10 or wildcard. I think you mean game week 19, right? Game week 18 is the blank game week. So game week 19 is probably the next window. So if you don't use it in 7, 8, 9, or 10, I don't think you'll use it until maybe earliest at game week 16, where there's the next fixture swing. So I don't see a situation where we would use it in between from game week 11 to game week 15. Already activated a wildcard last Sunday. That's great. Then you would have loads of time to deal with the flags. Would you start Madison or Bowen, please? I like Bowen for this game week, and if I was wildcarding in game week 7, I would have Bowen in my team. With Botman and Burn out, Newcastle defense. I honestly think they're not out. I honestly don't think that they're out. Should we avoid Newcastle defense? I don't think you go out and buy those players that are flagged. If you're buying someone this game week, it'd probably be Trippier or maybe Fabian Shah. But honestly speaking, if you take a risk on Botman or Burn, I feel like they would be fine to start as well. Eddie Howe is also another manager that does not tell the whole truth sometimes. Should I transfer Gusto to cash and take a hit for Diaz to Bowen? Gusto to cash is a pretty good long-term move, but I don't think it's something that you need to do this game week because they play Brighton this game week, so there's almost no chance, I would say, that they keep a clean sheet. Diaz to Bowen, if it's a 1 week punt, sure, but I think if you're gonna do Diaz to Bowen, you're gonna have to be able to sit through Bowen's game week 8 and game week 9 fixtures. Who said Botman and Burn are out? No one said they're out. They're out. Basically, they're flagged because Burn is ill and Botman has a little bit of a knee injury. So it seems like they will be given every chance to start. Right. Wilson or Dominic Calvert-Lewin for Jackson just for a 1 week punt. For a 1 week punt, 1 week punt I would actually go Morris for forwards. But if not, Callum Wilson has a little bit of a hamstring situation, but once again, Eddie Howe said he's going to give him every chance to start. But I still think it's slightly risky. 1 week punt in the forward position. I feel like it'll be Morris though. Don't think I'll punt anywhere else. If it's Wilson, it'll be slightly risky. Any Man City team news? I doubt we get any Man City team news today. Chilwell to Trippier for -4. If it's a long-term move, I think it's fine. Menor Solomon, great punt for the next 3 game weeks. He's decent. In fact, Perisic is now out. But the thing is with Richarlison, you don't really know when he's going to come in, and then maybe Son goes over to the left for a couple of games, right? You don't really know, so there's a little bit of a risk there. Any chance we get news about Saka? Well, I'm not confident that we'll get news with Saka because Arsenal are pretty good at keeping things under wraps, so I don't think we're going to get anything conclusive about Saka. But let's keep our eyes open, our eyes peeled. Todd says, I've got Saka, Madders, Botman, all doubts. I've got 1.8 million in the bank, 1 free transfer, thinking about Gordon or Diaby. I think Botman is fine. Madison should be fine as well. So the only one you are really worried about is probably Saka. Sugarbender says, Saka to Son confirmed. I mean, I'm honestly 50-50 on it right now. It's the only move I'm contemplating now. It's either I hold Saka and take the risk, or I take him out for Son. Right? It's either going to be one of those. Will Wilson play? I don't think there's any confirmation. And I mean, it's hard to say. I honestly don't know because his hamstring injury kept him out of the midweek game against Man City. Right? But it was just tightness. So honestly, he could just start. Already did Chilwell to Trips and Pedro to Archer for free. Should I start Saka and first bench Archer or Estupinian? Saka or Estupinian? I'll probably start Estupinian, right, in case Saka comes on for a 1-pointer. But honestly, it's just so tough. It's so tough because we don't really know whether Saka starts or not. Thoughts on Martinelli? He's injured at the moment, so no thoughts on him for now. Should we sell Saka? I mean, there's the $1 million question. That is the $1 million question. I mean, the way I see it is, if I'm going to do Saka to Son, and which is already a move that I'm going to do later on, latest game week 8, right? If I don't do it this game week, it's going to be next game week. Should I just take the risk, do Saka to Son, in hopes that Saka doesn't start, and just roll with Son for the next couple of game weeks? Because that was already the plan. I'm just shifting the transfer a little bit earlier. So I'm definitely tempted to do that, just so that there's a little bit more safety. And obviously, I feel like Saka does not have as high a chance to start as Son. Even if Saka doesn't play, I'll still hold him and have Archer as first sub. My overall team is still good to go. Awesome. Is it worth to take a hit to sell Saka though? I've already got the Spurs due. Archer first sub. I think I don't think you would take a hit to sell Saka in your position. How long are the players that play next to Saka injured? Martinelli, there's no conclusive news when he's gonna come back. So, what's your thoughts on taking a -4 Pedro Porro to Shah? I don't think I would do that. I don't think I would do that because Pedro Porro would come in handy for the games against Luton, against Fulham, game week 8, game week 9. Do you know when Nkunku will be back? Or not anytime soon. Not anytime soon. Maybe in December. Saka will play. Right? No one knows. No one knows Saka will play. Right. Let's check. Right. FPL Diamond has sent something in the chat. All right. Let's thanks for pointing it out, FPL Diamond. Let's take a look at what we have on Twitter. So, Let's Talk FPL Andy has just tweeted 8 minutes ago. He says, I know it's probably quite obvious given the videos that went around last night, but from what I know, Saka, Saliba and Rice all trained yesterday. My guess is they all start, but that is just a guess. I thought that as soon as I saw the press conference at 10 a.m. yesterday, I'm almost certainly not going to get any early team news, so don't be holding out any hope. Yeah, so it's pretty early. It would be slightly too early for team news because they're not even the first kickoff today. So I doubt we would get early team news like what Andy said. But I think the key point here is that they all trained, right? And that is the only new information that we have, because apart from that, we already knew that he arrived at Bournemouth, etc. So honestly speaking, after hearing this, I think I'm gonna roll. I think I'm gonna roll. Right? Let me know what you guys would do. Let me know. Currently, 56% of you guys would be keeping. 44% of you guys would be selling. Sugarman says, I'm stuck. Who to replace Chilwell with? I already have Trippier, Estupinian, Cash, and Kabori. Thank you for your help. Estupinian, Trippier, Cash, and Kabori. You could consider doubling up on the Newcastle defense. Need to get James Ward-Prowse in for this game week. Should I sell Saka or Eze? If you want James Ward-Prowse, I mean, given this news, it seems as if maybe you sell Eze. Personally made the Saka to Son transfer already. You should join me. Son has a great scoring history against Liverpool. Thoughts on Salah and Morris for Saka and Jackson? I feel like you keep Saka now. I mean, given this information, given this information, I feel like I'll keep Saka at the moment. Triple cap Morris ranked number 1 in the world. Here I come. No, I'm not wildcarding this week. I was contemplating it, but I'm not wildcarding this game week. Right, so they all trained yesterday. I think it's fair enough to say that Saka starts. I mean, if he's fit, if he's trained, etc., I see no reason why. Arteta just has every faith and every trust in Saka that I don't believe if Saka is fit that he would ever not start Saka. So I think this tweet from Andy has just given me enough confidence to just stick with Saka. Right, some of you guys think that he won't start. That he still won't start. That he will be benched. Right, let's get back to the team. Let me just put a pinned comment here. Saka trained yesterday. I mean, these are facts, so I'm just gonna put the facts here and leave it to you guys to interpret it. Saka trained yesterday, and that's from Let's Talk FPL, and let's leave it as this. All right. Is Gordon worth a punt? Good enabler, but I'm worried about his yellow card situation. I think he's worth a punt this game week. He's definitely on 4 yellows, and I think he would be more careful. I mean, I would expect that he'll be more careful by now. But I think given the way he's playing and just what he enables, I feel like it's worth it to take the risk, right? And go with him. I mean, I made a wildcard draft. In the team selection video, I had an updated wildcard draft, and there was Gordon in there. And he was basically to enable he was there to enable Salah, Son, Trippier, and Haaland all in one draft, right? So I'll pull up the team in a bit, the wildcard team in a bit. Maddison, we don't have any conclusive news, but the thing is he trained. In the press conference, Postecoglou said he trained. Him and Son got through whatever they needed to get through. So that's what we know regarding Son and Maddison. I pray Botman and Burn play, same here. I honestly think they will. I think they will. I can afford Salah and I have a transfer. Should I do Saka to Salah? I was planning to do that next game week. I mean, bringing forward your transfer now, I don't see any issue with it. I don't see any issue with that, especially since I was considering Saka to Son as well, right? My transfers for game week 8 are actually Saka and Foden to Maddison and Son. So bring any of these transfers forward, I think is fine, right? Even if it's, let's say, Saka to Salah as well, who's someone that you will want for the long term. I think that's completely fine. I have Saka, Saliba, and Botman, but only one transfer who to get rid of. So it seems like you can keep Saka now. Saliba also arrived. I actually think Saliba should be fine. Right, let me put up the wildcard draft. Right, let me just build it in front of you guys. So, if I was to wildcard now, okay, this is my Game Week 7 team. Let's build a Game Week 7 wildcard, right? An updated one. So, the keeper pairing would still be Areola, right? And Areola and Turner, because that just saves a lot of money. And I would probably not have Estupinian. I'll probably bring him in later on. So I would have Cash, I would have Trippier as well, I would have Botman, I would have Kabore, and Udogi is on the bench. Midfield, I would have Diaby. So if I was on a wild card, I would have Diaby here. Once again, as I mentioned, I won't have any Manchester United players on the Game Week 7 wild card. So Salah, Diaby, and then the Tottenham players, so Son and Maddison. And then Gordon, right? Because as I mentioned just now, Gordon just enables the team to have a lot of premium players. Let me just make a couple of changes. So, and then I would have, Udogi, Kabore, Maddison, Cash. So I put Cash on the bench here. Udogi, right. And the last player that I actually had wasn't Maddison. I actually had Bowen in here. And then Alvarez and Haaland up front. And if I was wildcarding, I would have this lineup because I wouldn't go double Spurs in game week 7. Right, so I also don't. I mean, I think there's every chance that Tottenham do well against. I think there's every chance Tottenham do well against Liverpool, but I would just back the Bowen versus Sheffield at home fixture. Right, so this is likely a game week 7 wildcard that I would go with. And as you guys can see, I don't really have a lot of team value now, but I'm still able to afford this team with 0.3 million in the bank. So those of you on a game week 7 wildcard, I guess most of you guys can actually get to this team. Foden, Rashford, Enzo, Son, McAllister. Any changes? Got 1 transfer and 1.3 million in the bank. Foden and Rashford are fine. Son is good as well. Enzo and McAllister, you can probably swap them out. Especially Enzo. I think you can swap out Enzo. I really want to get Son in, but I can only do it next week and for a hit. I think there's nothing to say that Son is absolutely essential this week, right? It seems as if I'm going to go without him as well. It seems as if I'm going to go without Son. So for those of you guys who just tuned in, on the screen is a Game Week 7 wildcard draft that I would go with. I mean, you could of course do Osula to Archer to just shore up the bench a little bit, but aside from that, this is a Game Week 7 wildcard draft. This is not my team. The Saka play in Game Week 7. So according to a tweet from Let's Talk FPL Andy, it seems as if he trained yesterday, so that would give me enough confidence to know that he's gonna start. $141 people. For those of you guys watching, please do drop a like. Thank you, FPL Diamond, for that. Any idea of Chelsea's predicted lineup? It would be interesting. So, I think one of the tools that I really like for predicted lineups, right? Let me just get back to my team. But one of the tools that I really like for predicted lineups is actually Draft Town, because they actually update their predictions with the latest news. So let me get the predicted lineups out. Alright, so once again, this is the Draft Town tool, and these are the predicted lineups. So Raya in goal again, so that's the prediction. They do expect Saliba to start as well. Jorginho, I feel like because it seems like Declan Rice managed to train yesterday, I feel like Jorginho would be out for Declan Rice. And then up front, it's probably going to be what we're seeing here. So Saka and Ketia and Jesus. So I do feel like you swap Jorginho out for Declan Rice, and that's what we're going to see for Arsenal. Let's go over to Chelsea. Maybe Sterling up front. Yeah, I mean they have it as their predictions as well. Sterling up front. I think this is potentially what we'll see. Yeah, I honestly don't think we stray too far away from this, especially since Chilwell is injured as well. So there's not really much difference that we're gonna expect in the Mudryk position as well. So I actually agree with this prediction. Right, which is actually why I really like Draft Town as a tool. Is Botman gonna play? I feel like he's gonna play. There's no confirmation, but I feel like he's gonna play. If I triple captain Saka and he doesn't start, does it get transferred to my vice? Yes. If your triple captained player does not start, then it would move over to your triple captained vice captain. So basically, if you're on a triple captain, make sure that your vice captain is someone that you're alright to triple captain for that week as well. 3 goals in the last 4 games for Son against Liverpool. Saka has got 1 in the last 4 against Bournemouth. Hard to ignore Son, mate. I think there's every reason that you can go for Son in this game week, and for sure there's a good chance he starts. But I think if I'm gonna make the move this game week, it just feels like it's not the right time for it. Like I don't feel like Saka to Son is a move that I have to make this week if Saka isn't injured. Right. Even though Saka isn't that good away from home, but it's Bournemouth. I mean, it's Bournemouth and Son has Liverpool, right? So who to bring in for Chilwell? I think the obvious replacement is Trippier if you don't have him. If not, other defenders that you can look at, maybe Botman potentially if you're alright to have him flagged for now, but I feel like he should be fine to start. I wouldn't move early on Matty Cash for now, but definitely he's a long-term move. But it's just they're playing Brighton, so I honestly don't think Aston Villa keeps a clean sheet this week. Son and Saka question to start. Son went through training and he did fine. So according to Postecoglou, it seems like he is fine. But once again, they're going to reassess today. Right? Once again, they're going to reassess today. Saka trained yesterday, arrived at Bournemouth. So my guess is that he'll start. Newcastle predicted lineup. Right, this one is also interesting. Let's take a look at the Newcastle one. Because Newcastle have loads of injuries. If you guys want more teams, let me know. Right, so this is the predicted lineup for Newcastle here. Pope in goal, Trippier, Shah, Botman, Burn. Honestly speaking, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the exact same back four that we see today. Longstaff, Bruno Guimaraes, and Anderson. Up front, Almiron, Gordon, and Wilson. Right, so there's so many flags here. Even Bruno Guimaraes is also flagged. Right, so my guess is at least the defenders I feel are alright to start. In the attacking positions, they could very well just rotate. And bear in mind they have Champions League as well in the coming midweek. Haaland or Morris for the captain's armband. If you have Morris, or at least if you transferred Morris in, it feels as if you're already banking on him returning. I mean, there was a tweet that I saw earlier today that said if you are going to transfer Morris in and then transfer him out after game week 7, these two moves basically should have quite a couple of points to justify it. So if you're not going to captain Morris after bringing him in, it almost feels as if you may as well not bring him in, right? So that was what the tweet was saying, which I kind of agree with. That if you're going to bring a player in for one game week only, which is game week 7, granted it's 2 games, but if you're going to bring him in for one game week and then transfer him out after that, almost immediately, that's 2 transfers, so you can count it as 8 points. So you're banking on Morris at least returning more than that. And of course, if you're going to captain him, then that would definitely make it more worth it. Right, so if you're not going to captain him, I don't see why you would bring him in. Right, so simply put, I mean, long story short, if I had him and if I brought him in, I would captain him. Alright, loads of you guys are asking about Draft Town, so let me get a link for you guys. Just give me a moment. Let me get a link. Draft Town. Alright, so those of you who want to check out Draft Town, I'm going to pin this message here. So basically, if you do want to check out the predicted lineups for yourself, you can head over to Draft Hound. And yeah, I mean, they have other useful tools as well, like points predictions, etc. So I use them quite often, so do check them out. Right, let me get back to my team for those of you guys who just tuned in. Saka worth it for Bowen, or James Ward-Prowse, or Son for a -4. I don't think I would be transferring Saka out for a -4 this game week, right? After the news that we know Saka trained yesterday, I don't think I would do that. Plan to sell Morris on wildcard around game week 10. I know Morris does have decent fixtures after game week 7. Like they have Nottingham Forest as well. But honestly speaking, if I take a look at Morris's numbers, I don't see why we would play him in any other game week, but regardless of the opposition, except for a double game week like this one. Right, except for a double game week like this one. How would you get Saka in game week 10 in your wildcard? So for the game week 10 wildcard, I actually don't think I would have Saka. My 5 midfielders for game week 10, if I was to wildcard, right, which I really think we should be doing this. We should be putting out a game week 8, game week 9, and game week 10 wildcard and just assess how you can actually maximize each game week, because I did say this in a video that if this is the period that a lot of us are going to wildcard in, it's dependent on your team when the best time is, and looking at your drafts for the different weeks, right, how many fixtures you can cover. So those are important points to consider when you are wildcarding. And basically for game week 10, I feel like my midfield would be Saka, Diaby, I would have Son as well. No, I wouldn't have. Wait, let me check. Let me check my game week 10 wildcard. It's too many different drafts already. I would have Salah for sure. Right, so I'll have Salah, Diaby, Mitoma, Bowen, and Bruno Fernandes. So I would have these 5 midfielders. I wouldn't have Saka, and I wouldn't have any Tottenham players, because come game week 10, it's after the Fulham game, it's after the Luton game as well. So I don't think we need Spurs anymore, because after game week 10, yes, game week 10 they have Crystal Palace, but after that they have quite a tough run. So I think you can do without them. Mitoma you definitely have to have, because Brighton's run gets good from game week 10. Salah as well you have to have. Diaby also because of Aston Villa's fixtures. So the only positions that I'm willing to compromise on is Bruno Fernandes and Bowen. But again, in game week 10, Bruno Fernandes has Manchester United, but after that, they have really good fixtures. Okay. Where was I? How would I get Saka in a game week 10 wildcard? So that would be my wildcard for game week 10. And I'll probably have Gabriel Jesus. So in here in my game week 10 wildcard draft, I probably have Gabriel Jesus. Are you also a Chelsea fan or an Arsenal fan? I am a Chelsea fan, and it's not a great time to be a Chelsea fan, but I'm gonna back my team. Hopefully we can turn it around, right? Definitely not in a good place right now. Check the predicted points. All right, let's put up the predicted points on for Fantasy Football Hub here. So in terms of predicted points, of course the Of course, the Luton players and the Burnley players are here, but as you can see from the comments, right, you have to take this with a pinch of salt because the predictions and the AI models obviously are going to say that the double game week players are going to score more than most other players. So you have to take this with a pinch of salt, right? But Haaland is at 8.7, Morris is at 8.1, Kaminsky is at 7.3, right, and so on and so forth. And in general, predicted points, it's just a metric that you can use, but I don't think it's something that we should base our entire decisions on. Right, I don't think we should base our whole decision on predicted points, but it's just interesting to see what the AI model thinks is gonna happen. Saka / Madison, keep or bench. It seems like you can start both of them, right? It seems like you can start both Saka and Madison. Quick question, how many times do you cut your hair in a month? That's a great question actually, Arthur. I actually just cut it earlier today. So it's technically 2.5 to 3 weeks because my hair just grows really quickly. I mean, I have no idea what the normal frequency is, but yeah, I just had a cut today. I think I generally just like to keep shorter hair, so I don't really like it when it gets too long. Michael Newton says Spurs fixtures from game week 10 are okay. I'm not a fan of it. That's the thing. I'm just not a fan of going for, let's say, Son at 9.2 million, 9.3 million, when players like Diaby, I mean, for sure, you could definitely go with them, but Diaby, Mitoma, Salah, Bowen, they all have better fixtures, right? And I've looked through that as well. And Manchester United, granted, they don't have a good fixture in game week 10 when they play Man City, but after that they have great fixtures. We just saw just now earlier in the stream as well. So I would not have Spurs players generally. I mean, there's no right way to play it, but I don't think I would have Spurs players after Luton and Fulham. Stuart says, don't tell everyone about my Jesus differential until he hauls for me. I mean, that's the only way we can cover the Arsenal attack, right? If I'm on a game week 10, right, I think it's time to put the game week 10 wildcard on the screen so that you guys get a visual image of what I'm talking about. So let's move over to game week 10. This should be a little bit better for visualization. So I'm gonna have cash here. I'm just gonna replicate exactly what I have on my current game week 10 draft. So this is for game week 10, not for game week 7. I'll have Estupinian as well. Botman. Just give me a moment. Cash, Saliba, Estupinian, Botman, and Kabori. I would have Gabriel Jesus. I'm sorry for telling people about Jesus. So Salas, Diaby, Bowen, Mitoma. And then I would have Bruno Fernandes here. Right, so this is currently, right, so the cash may be an issue, but currently this is the draft that I have. Ignore the cash first because I think we can just make a couple of swaps here, but ideally this would be my game week 10 wildcard, and I don't see, other than Gabriel Jesus, right, how are we gonna fit Saka into this draft, because I know they have decent fixtures. I mean, they look very, very good, right? But if I fit Saka in here, then I miss out on all the other fixtures as well, right? And Gabriel Jesus, I think, should be fine at least to cover Saka once Gabriel Jesus starts consistently, right? Because you look at Brighton's fixtures. I mean, all the way until game week 16, they're fine to keep, and they are Brighton. Diaby as well. It's a sea of green. Saka again. Salah. This is the time to jump on Salah as well. Game week 10. Granted, Manchester United have Man City in game week 10. But after that, look at their fixtures. Fulham, Luton, Everton, and then Bournemouth after in game week 16 as well. Bowen as well is a sea of green. So I don't see how we can take advantage of all the different fixtures and then have Saka as well. I mean, I could do Saka here, and I could do maybe Rasmus Højlund here if he becomes an option, potentially. Right, if you want to fit Saka, I think this is one of the combinations. But is Rasmus Højlund enough to cover Manchester United from Fulham, Luton, and Everton? I'm not so sure. Right, I obviously come game week 10 we'll get more information. If he looks really good, if he's the second coming of Ruud van Nistelrooy, maybe. Alright, so I'm just gonna reverse the moves first. So something else that I thought about as well was actually Mikel Antonio, because Antonio is actually pretty cheap. He's at 5.9 and he covers the West Ham fixtures, but obviously Mikel Antonio is not as great an option as compared to James Ward-Prowse and Bowen, right? But if I do that, then I can bring back my Manchester United attacker. So, I mean, as we're talking now, I'm already making a couple of tweaks here to the draft to potentially try and fit everyone in, but yet take advantage of all the fixtures. I think that's the struggle for the Game Week 10 wildcard, right? That you're gonna have loads of fixtures that you just want to jump on, and it's just gonna be a struggle to fit everyone in. Right. Football Forever says, sorry, I just joined. What about Saka, mate? So it seems as if Saka has trained, and it also seems as if he will be fit. It seems as if. This is it's crucial to say that there's no confirmation, but it seems like he will start for a couple of reasons. He arrived at the hotel and he trained, right? So it's completely possible he doesn't start as well, right? So just to caveat them. Should I take a -4 to bring in Shah for Ben Mee? Who to start, Pedro Neto or Pedro Porro? I don't think you start Pedro Porro this week. -4 to bring Shah in for Ben Mee. I think Ben Mee is a player you need to replace, sooner or later. So a -4 now, at least it seems like a long-term move, so maybe it's justified. Bowen, Ward-Prowse, that's a good question. Bowen or Ward-Prowse is a good question. I think that one comes down to budget for me. Because obviously Ward-Prowse is a little bit cheaper. They both offer different things. Ward-Prowse is on set pieces. He's cheaper. He's playing a slightly more attacking role this season as compared to previous seasons with Southampton. Bowen, he's generally closer to the goal, more clinical as a finisher. And yeah, pick your poison, but if it comes down to an issue of budget and I have to go for Ward-Prowse to afford someone else, I think it's easy enough. If budget isn't an issue, then I guess you're really spoiled for choice there. How much for a haircut in Singapore? Right, so it's about $20, $20 to $30. I think that's the average haircut. Who to bench? Watkins, Maddison, Mbeumo, or Saka? For Watkins, Brighton has conceded. Alright, okay, so I don't think you bench Mbeumo. Right, Maddison, I think you start as well. Saka, alright. I think it's either one of Maddison or Saka then. Which, in this case, it seems like Saka is gonna be fine. So maybe you bench Watkins, if Maddison, if you really want to start Watkins, because it seems like you want to start Watkins. FPL Times, just like, share, subscribe. Thank you very much for the kind words. Please do like, share, and subscribe. We are on the road to 10,000 subscribers is the aim for the season. I'm not sure if we can hit it, but we're gonna try and do it. So if you are watching and you're not subscribed, it'd really make my day if you could help me to subscribe. Right, what to do with Botman, Saka, Madison, Martinelli? I think Martinelli is probably an easy sell. Botman, Saka, Madison, I think they're fine for this game week. Which Burnley defender for the long run? Probably Bale. Arthur's this nice haircut. Sounds like you have a flu. Stay healthy. Thank you very much. I don't have a flu actually. Could be just the echo or something. I've already made my move. Saka to Diaby, Foden to Salah for -4. Would you start Estupinian or Gabriel? Gabriel for sure. Gabriel. Transferring Mbeumo for Gordon or Bowen game week 7, I wouldn't do that. I would just keep Mbeumo. Why is Heung-min Son a doubt? I think he picked up a knock, but it seems as if he went through training and he got enough out of training. He managed to do it, right? He managed to complete whatever he needed to. So if I feel like he'll start. Do you think Trippier or Cash is more of a priority? I think Trippier. If you're buying a defender, then probably Trippier. Will Saka start? It seems like he'll start. At least from Let's Talk FPL Andy's tweet, I feel like he'll start. Don says, what move do I make? I have 1 free transfer and 0 in the bank. I have Flecken, Areola, Botman, Shah, Estupinian, Cash, Udogi, Madison, and Bremo Diaby. Botman, Shah, Estupinian, Cash, Udogi. Right, your defense is fine. Midfield seems fine as well. I think you can roll. Right, give me a moment. I think you can roll the transfer, Don. I've used my wildcard for Game Week 7 and my team looks exactly like yours. I want to get Saka, Estupinian, and Mitoma for Game Week 10. What should I do? I think that is the compromise though with that team. It's gonna be the Game Week 7 wildcard may have to take a couple of hits to bring those players in, like you mentioned, because I have played around with the Game Week 7 wildcard draft that I made. I've went a couple of game weeks forward and I've just seen that it's hard to take advantage of the fixture swings that come from then, right? Which is Arsenal, like you mentioned. So there are gonna be compromises that have to be made. And I think that's just the difficulty, because if you wildcard now, you're gonna gain an advantage now. Come Game Week 10, maybe a couple of hits would fix it. -4 from Saka to Bowen. I don't think I would do that. It says Stupina not better to start for attacking threat. Arsenal rarely keep clean sheets away from home. I mean, with Estupinian, his attacking threat is really good, right? I'm not going to deny it. And if you want to start him ahead of Arsenal players, I think by all means. I think it's fine. Right, but I would just play the fixture and just go Saliba. In fact, with Estupinian, he actually started every single game, the past 3 games. And this is inclusive of midweek games as well. So he started the Europa League, he started the Premier League, and he started the AFL Cup. So, is Salah essential in a wildcard in your opinion? I would say yes. Yeah, I would definitely have him. Right, I'm gonna be back. I'm gonna use the washroom. I'll just be really quick. Alright. Apologies for that. Alright, so what do I do with Saka if we get news that he doesn't start? I mean, honestly speaking, I don't think we'll get any conclusive news. That's the truth. I think it's fine for you to just stick with him. I'm on a wild card, Bowen and Gordon or Diaby and James Ward-Prowse. I would have Diaby and I would have Diaby and Bowen. It seems like you have to choose, so you probably went for other players elsewhere. In terms of the combinations, I would go Diaby and James Ward-Prowse. Yeah. Do you think Wilson is a good captain this week? I don't mind him as a captain, but the thing is, his hamstring injury, or hamstring tightness is gonna put me off a little bit. I don't think he's a bad shout before the injury. I mean, coming into this game week, it seems as if he was a decent shout for captaincy, but you know, now that he has this hamstring tightness, I don't think I would captain him. Sterling owes me a haul before I get rid of him for Salah next game week. Let's hope so. I mean, if he starts in the number 9 position, there's every chance that he could. And he's not a stranger to playing in the number 9 position as well. He's done it before in the past. We've seen it. I've missed the question. Estupinian to Trippier and Saka to James Ward-Prowse. What's your opinion? If this is for free, I actually don't mind it. If it's for free, I actually don't mind this. Already transferred Jackson to Watkins, but my team has 6 flags. I think a -4 for Gusto to Kabori is worth doing. Nah, I don't think I would take a -4 to bring double gaming players, to be honest. Because with Kabori, it just seems as if it would just be for this double game week. I'd rather bring in players for a -4 that I would consistently start for the next couple of game weeks. Thanks for your answers as always, much appreciated. Thank you very much, no problem at all. Burn is a doubt, he's ill. Will Doku start and Mbeumo or Doku this week? So for this week, it's between Grealish, Doku and Foden. I think Alvarez should start. I mean, my guess is he'll start. So I think for the wings, it's probably between Doku and Grealish or Foden. For me, Grealish played the whole game against Newcastle, so I don't think coming back from injury, he immediately plays midweek and then on the weekend as well. So if I'm to make a guess, I think it's Doku, Foden and Alvarez this game week, which is exactly what we saw last game week as well. Right, so the way they shaped up against Nottingham Forest, I think is what we're going to see against Wolves as well. Does Saka play? My guess is that he plays. Will Madison play? So he got through training, right? I don't have confirmation of all these, but I think my guess is he will as well. Right? If I have to start Madison, I would be fine. I think that's a better way to answer it. If I have to start Saka this game week, if I have to start Madison this game week, I would be fine. Good luck this game week. My wildcard is Areola, Turner, Kabori, Trippier, Udogi, Karius, Tarkowski. Will change for Botman later game weeks. Bowen, Salah, Gordon, Diaby, Son, Haaland, Morris. Alright, that seems fine. Yeah, the wildcard seems fine. Ruli is a member, just woke up. Good morning, Ruli. Loads of managers played their wildcard because they were forced to. I think the wildcard figure for or the percentage of wildcards activated this game week will be pretty high, for sure. And I know it's not by choice as well. There are a couple of teams that were forced into it. Chances of Jackson getting returns next week? I mean, has he turned the corner? It seems as if, right? It seems as if. Madison will play, Saka will not play. All speculation though, all speculation. You answered earlier, but I ain't sure who should I bench. Mattis, Saka, Rashford, Bruno, or Mbeumo. Don't think I'll bench any, to be honest. If I have to really, really choose one. Wow, this is tough. Maybe Madison, but I wouldn't be comfortable with that at all. Right, so thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to be ending the stream really soon, so if I haven't answered your question, do drop them in the chat right now. But yeah, going into game week 10, I mean, assuming that Saka is fit to start, this is probably how I'm going to go into game week 7. So Nana in goal, Estupinian, Colwell, Botman, and Kabori. So one double game week player. Midfield looks fine as well. Mbeumo, Rashford, Foden, and Saka. Up front it's Alvarez and Haaland captain. Right, so I think it's simple enough. I don't think I will be complicating it. This game week, just gonna roll the transfer and hopefully Saka starts. Same for Botman as well. Botman actually, I'm pretty confident that he will. Right, so there we go. Thank you guys for tuning in. Right, if you are still here, please do drop a like and also subscribe as well. And I will catch you guys in more game week 8 content actually, because game week 8 content is going to be really important. There's going to be loads of people wildcarding, right? There are going to be some people who are dead ending into game week 7 and then wildcarding then. Game week 8 also brings a couple of fixture swings as well, so we're going to have to dissect game week 8, and I'll try to put out as much content as I can around it to help you guys. Alright, so thank you very, very much for tuning in. GV says thank you, Leon. Yet again, another beautiful stream. All the best. Thank you very much. All the best to you as well. Keep an eye on Pedro Neto after the Man City game. Alright, we will do that. But yes, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you guys very, very soon. All the best for game week 7. Right, and I'll catch you guys soon. Bye-bye.